presenter. We have a spoken word artist and a visual artist, Kelly Michelle. We have a little video that she has to give you a little mood, and we're going to go ahead and turn the mic over to Kelly Michelle. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone? So I'm going to be reading a few poems from my debut poetry collection, 125 Days. My books are over here in the corner at the table. And the first piece I am going to be reciting is called The Whisper, and it is inspired by a life-changing event. The whisper, the faint whisper, so quiet I couldn't hear her. Speaking from within my heart, she was a whisper, drowned out by the noises of my surrounding peers, telling me lies to my ears that made me give in to my fears. Until one day, the whisper, she spoke loud to me. I asked God to take me on a spiritual journey, and the woman I was meant to be whispered to me, "Cut your hair." I said, no, I would never dare. No, not my long, luscious hair that would blow freely in the air when the wind passed by, drape down, cover my face and my eyes. My security from the world, so no one would get a good look at who I was. The whisper, she whispered, "Cut your hair." And one day, without hesitation, I did what I said I would never dare. I sat down in the stylist chair, wrote myself a letter to make myself feel better. I was letting the damage go and making room for better things to grow. And as I finished reading that letter, the stylist took her shears, and I had no choice but to overcome my fears. As my long, luscious hair fell lifelessly to the floor, and for the first time, I didn't care. The whisper, she whispered, "Let the damage go, it's time to grow." Smiling from ear to ear, I didn't even shed a tear. I felt the chains break. I was no longer a prisoner to my fears. I did what I wanted without validation from my peers. The damage was getting old. It was time for new beginnings to unfold. The whisper, she whispered, "Your world is about to change." I didn't know what she meant, but I started to feel the growing pains. Everything in my life got flipped, turned, upside down, going left instead of right. I soon had to depend on walking by faith and not by sight. And all I had was a guidance to the quiet whisper. So I began to tune out the world so I could hear her, the enemy speaking from my heart, and it wasn't easy. It was hard. The tug of war between the mind and the heart, trying to think it through with my thoughts. But the mind is conformed since the day you were born to abide by society and its rules. But the heart somehow already knows what it wants to do. So tug and pull, there was a lot of confusion until I turned my thoughts down, listening for the whispering, until the faint words I heard like a loud cry. The whisper, she whispered, "Listen to me and I will steer you no wrong. Lead me to where I need to go." The enemy speaking from my heart. The day I listened to the whisper changed my life. All the damage I left behind to now I feel free inside. No longer prisoner to my fears, breaking chains set by society and my peers. The whisper, she whispered, "You are free, my dear." So now when the noise from the outside becomes too much, I close my eyes and listen to my heart. For the whispering whisper that's so faint and quiet, the whisper, when she whispers, everything else becomes silent. Thank you. So this next poem is also from the first book. And I like to write short stories in the form of a poem. And this piece is called The Piano Man. Every Friday night, she would have dinner at her favorite restaurant. And she would sit in the same spot by the bar, facing towards the center where the grand piano stood. She never came for the food. No. She had other reasons. Because every Friday night, the grand piano was played by a man whose hands were like magic to the keys. And she fell in love more and more with each song, The Piano Man. He stole her heart. He wore a triple black suit with the matching dress shoes, tan skin, half Puerto Rican, and he spoke with a heavy accent that made her panties wet. Yes, she couldn't always take 3 puffs from his Cuban cigar and place it in the ashtray. And then he would close his eyes and begin to play the piano man. He became one with the instrument, and she'd be mesmerized by his movements, falling more in love with every song he played, feeling the vibrations move through her legs, tingling her special place. He always played with passion, straight from the soul. But it wasn't just for the crowd, because he too was fond of her also. And he always knew every Friday night he would see the beautiful woman with the golden skin and hazel eyes. He would watch her, watch him, causing goosebumps to rise on his skin. The piano man would play and play, and every once in a while would glance at her pretty face. Seeing the reaction that he would create, and it turned him on to know he could do what he did by just playing a song from his grand piano. She stayed until the restaurant was ready to close. He grabbed his Cuban cigar to finish the rest and began to smoke. As he was smoking, she stood up and began walking towards him, grace in her stride, swishing her hips. He looked at her from the corner of his eye, taking the cigar from his lips. She sat down next to him, hip to hip, and began running her fingers across the piano keys. As she could tell by his smirk, he was very pleased. She leaned into his ear, and in a seductive voice, she said, "Can I hear one more, my dear piano man?" He plucked his cigar, grabbed her by the hand, and sat her on his lap as he breathed softly on the nape of her neck as he whispered back in his heavy accent, "Follow my lead." He then placed his hands beneath hers and began playing the keys. Her heart started to beat 1,000 times as she sat on his lap, feeling the vibrations between her thighs, falling head over heels in love as he played beneath her hands. And she became one with him, the piano man. Okay, so this next poem is from the second book, and it's titled Clocks, and is inspired by longing for someone. Okay. With each passing day, I try not to be so fixated on the clocks, but today I heard tick, tock, round and round. I hear it now. At the tip of my eardrums, that maddening sound, so discreet yet so profound, that makes me wonder as my heart continues to grow fonder, while time gets longer. Seconds and the minutes, hours and the days, nothing stays the same except the feeling I get when I hear your name. Off into the distance as the wind passes by, blowing past the clocks, please make the time fly. Tick-tock, round and round, hands moves nonstop, bringing forth the moon and the sun when a new day has begun, as the seconds are on the run, wishing the future were here now, but then we wouldn't know what patience was all about and wouldn't respect its value until the moment I can embrace you, like the moonlight's glow upon the ocean's blues at midnight in the middle of June. So, with each passing day, I try not to be so fixated on the clocks, but today I heard tick-tock, round and round, that maddening sound. Okay, so this next piece is inspired by trauma. It's doing its rounds like on TikTok, on my TikTok right now. So hold on. So trigger warning. It is about sexual assault. So, and I feel like it's important for men and women, for everyone to hear. Okay, this piece is called The Porcelain Tomb. The cascade of water falls as I sit in the porcelain tub, hoping if I sit long enough, the water will erode my skin down to the bone. I become a skeleton left to lay in my porcelain tomb. That's how much I tried to rid my body of the presence of you. Trying to rid my body of your fingerprints, trying to rid my body of all of the evidence of all your unwarranted advances. I have been sitting here for hours long. The cost of this water bill will be nothing compared to what I just lost. I rake at my skin till red and raw, hating how my body betrayed me when it convulsed. He thought I liked it. He thought I liked it. He thought I liked it. Even when I tried to push him off, he just thought I was playing along. His ego was far too strong. I couldn't fight back. So I laid there and let him have it. Now I hate myself for that. So I let the cascade of water fall, hoping if I sit long enough, the water will erode my stone cold body, eroding away at all the guilt, all the shame, all his DNA down this narrow drain, hoping it doesn't get clogged from all the waste I'm trying to wash off. So I scrub and scrub and scrub. I scrub so much I run out of soap still. I scrub and scrub and scrub down to the bone. I become a skeleton left to lay in my porcelain tomb, and I became one of many women who left her skeleton to lay in her porcelain tomb. Damn, I thought I had to do that to y'all real quick, but I feel like it's important to talk and write about traumas because, you know, it's healing. Like it's healing for me, it can be healing for others to hear that. So on to a lighter note, a little more happier, a little more upbringing. So that last piece, the porcelain tomb, was a newer piece I did, and this is also a newer piece that I just did, and it is inspired by basically just being in the moment and walking out in nature, and it is called The Echo. Winter has withered away, allowing for spring to come and embrace the days. Sunbeams showering upon the plants, with the wind dancing with the trees in a unison dance. A day like today is one that should not be wasted, and a walk on the trail begins when nature calls for an exploration. The trail is empty, looping around the forest floor. Ribbons of light emerge through limbs as feathered friends soar. Bending around the bend, I look, and what do I see? A swinging with the breeze, ever so lonely, awaiting for me. I make myself comfortable, gripping the chains, saddle the swing, hugging onto my hips, ready to take me away. I kick, and it starts with the cradle, rocking back and forth, picking up the momentum. Back, forth. And in the midst of the touchy breeze, with the singing birds in the canopies, I hear an echo. Quiet, faint, but strong echo that reverberates from my soul as if a once lost and faded memory is resurfacing, taking hold. The sound of a child's laughter, it became an echo. Louder and louder it grows, the purest sound a mortal would ever come to know. It echoes and echoes. This laughter comes from a child who only views the world as a playground and not for what it truly is. She knows nothing about hate or politics and only views the outdoors as a fantasy where the swing now becomes a rocket ship. Higher. I want to go higher. It echoes and echoes. The momentum carries me back, and at the peak of the height, and then there's the catch. Where in a split millisecond, in between the rise and the fall, you become weightless with the pocket of air you're encased in. And then, you're flying. The catch. Then, you're falling. Flying. You're falling. and falling, flying and flowing. Heron breeze caressing me with the singing birds in the canopies, all the while hearing it echo. Louder and louder it grows, the purest sound a mortal would ever come to know. The child, a 5-year-old me laughing just as joyous as ever can be. The momentum settles, slowing down into a cradle, rocking back and forth, and the excitement dwindles. Back, forth. Feet skim the ground, causing chips and mulch to skip and hop. I break away from the swing, and the echo stops. What has the world done to you to turn your heart into stone, to the inner child buried beneath your bones? Still, even a heart of stone is permeable to the inner child within your soul when one sees a swing as swinging with the wind alone. Thank you so much, and thank you, Arlene, for this opportunity, and thank you all for being such an amazing audience and listening. I am over here where you see this big poster that says 125 days. My books are $15 a piece, and you can just come over to me, get a copy, I'll sign it for you. My website is Kelly Michelle Thomas, and thank you all so much.